And how are you guys doing? 2D Life back at you today. Gonna do a little review, but let me just first give you a little rundown what's happening. I'm actually in my sister's playroom-ish thing. It's actually an old ambulance, but like my stepdad took the ambulance box off the truck, and now he drives the truck, and the ambulance is sitting in our like backyard. My sister's use it as a playhouse. But there's like 6 people in my house right now. I can't be ranting and raving and screaming about anime when my door's like this thick. So I'm actually outside today, and there's a decent chance I might be out here once or twice a week. Maybe I want to keep it less, because I really do like using the same room all the time. But you know, if I need to get a review out or something, and like my parents are home and I can't be screaming, I'm gonna have to come out here. So anyways, that's why I'm out here today. And if you guys watched my last video, you know that I was getting a new camera soon, but that's coming tomorrow. So for sure, next video, new camera. Anyways, let's jump right on into it, guys. Today, we're talking about the most OP character in Seven Deadly Sins, most OP character across the board in just a lot of anime. He is amazing. This character alone took out one of the strongest Seven Deadly Sin members. He took out an apprentice holy knight, and he took out the fairy queen guardian himself. We're talking about none other than this piece of grass. That's right, guys. No, I'm kidding, but, I was super surprised when Jericho was running. She just, like, tripped over this little blade of grass. It made me laugh. But no, for reals, we're talking about Escanor himself. You have no idea how excited I was for this episode. Last week when I was watching My Hero Academia, I was like, okay, yeah, it's a good cliffhanger. I can't wait to see next week. But Seven Deadly Sins, with that cliffhanger, I was like, yes, it is coming. Galand's gonna get what he deserves. I mean, I didn't say what. No, what? Anyways, so without further ado, let's just jump right on into this. This will be Seven Deadly Sins, Season 2, Episode 14, titled Master of the Sun. And that title is actually going to play into kind of one of my theories at the end of the video, but we can't talk about that until we get to the end. And I totally just noticed, Master of the Sun, Hakuna Matata. It's a sun, guys. Anyways, that doesn't matter. So, we start this episode off exactly where we left, with Jericho carrying Bon and Elaine on her back. She's in this woodsy area, and that is when the almighty piece of grass takes his moment and trips them. She falls face first, and they all die, and that's the end of the series. No, I'm kidding. So, Jericho at this point is clearly exhausted. She was already physically hurt from when Elaine was beating her up. She's carrying, like, probably a total of 300 pounds on her back, and she's just tired. And anyway, so she's running, and all of a sudden, she hears this giant smashing noise. And a few, I would say, blocks in front of her, a giant boulder just smashes in front of the road ahead of her. She's like, oh crap, those frickin' commandments, they're not even trying anymore, they're just playing with us. And that's exactly what was happening. This was probably one of the funniest moments in the entire Seven Deadly Sins. They cut back, like, frickin' 50 miles. It was a long ways back. But on, like, the middle of this mountain, they're up on a cliff. You have Galand and Melascula, and they're sitting there, and Melascula is holding this giant rock. She's floating in the air and holding this rock. And Galand's like, did I hit him? Did I get him? Did I crush him? And she's like, no, try again. Drops a boulder in front of Galand. He uses his scythe literally as a golf club. He takes it, and he's like, well, let's try again. And like, hits it, and it goes off. And my only question that is brought up from all of this is, did they have golf back in, like, frickin' 3,000 years ago? Or, think about this. Did Galand just create golf, and now the sport we love and play today was created by a, like, demon himself? So, maybe that's why it sucks out all our souls. Wait, what? Nothing. I love golf. It's a great sport. Yeah, so anyways, Galand's just, like, whacking these boulders, and so he hits this one, and he's like, I'm gonna put a little spin on it. It's going flying. It lands literally like 3 feet in front of Jericho's face, and she's like, oh, thank God it didn't hit me. But the force of it hitting the ground made it bounce back up, and then, like Galand said, I put a spin on it. It spun, and then spun backwards and, like, smacked into Jericho. Jericho just in time throws off Bon and Elaine from her back, and the boulder just smashes into her face. And then, she breaks it, of course, with her sword, because she's an apprentice holy knight, but she's pretty banged up, she's pretty bloody. She was barely able to walk with them before. There's no way she can keep going. So what happens is she gets them on her back, but then another ball comes, and it forces her to jump off the cliff. And she falls, they land, and Jericho looks to, like, she looks up at the cliff, and there's like a giant hole in the cliff. She's like, we're gonna hide in here. They can't keep they're probably gonna find us in here, but at least they can't keep throwing balls at us. Not a great move, since the commandments can track you. Yeah, you're getting out of the way of giant rocks falling on your head, but you're pretty much putting yourself into a dead end. Whatever, doesn't matter. It works out in the end. They go in there, and there's like a light. There's like a torch, and she's like, that's weird. This must be a mine. But then there's a door, and on the door, this is very important, it says, my sweet gluttony. And for a second, I was like, oh, this is Escanor. That's his sin. Then I'm like, wait, no, that's Merlin's sin. So what's going on here? She opens it up. She walks in, and she's like, is this a bar? And Escanor comes. He greets them. He's in his very meek form. I'm sure we've only either read the manga or we've seen the little trailers at the end of each episode. We already know. No surprise. It's a trope in anime. You know, got this tiny little boy, this tiny little girl, and boom, he's going to get jacked. But anyways, Escanor meets him. He's a very just average height, very scrawny man, very nice. He's like, hi, how are you guys doing? This is my bar, the Sweet Gluttony. Welcome. What can I get for you? And this just proves my point that the frickin' bastard Escanor is trying to put Meliodas out of business with his tavern. But luckily, he doesn't get very many customers because, you know, he's in the side of a cliff. And that's when Escanor noticed who's Jericho is carrying. Bon and Elaine. He has no idea who Elaine is, but he's like, Bon, my friend, blah, 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 what are you doing? And then he notices, like, wait, Bon, you're all beat up. Does that mean you're a holy knight and you took him in? And does that mean you're going to take me in? And she's like, yeah, I'm a holy knight, but I'm helping him out. And I'm not going to take him in. The 7 deadly sins are no longer in trouble. They've been, their older crimes have been dismissed by the king himself. And Escanor just starts weeping. Like, you would expect someone who's like a ripped giant man to be very manly. But again, he's in his meek form. So he's very meek. He's very feminine. He's very just cowardly. And, you know, he has no pride whatsoever as of right now. So he's like, oh, my word, you know, oh, we're free and so-and-so. And I don't know how Jericho didn't put it together, but she's like, what is this baboon going on about? And Bond's like, hey, you stop crying. Hey, you shut up. We don't have time for this. Escanor, hide us. And Escanor's like, okay, yes, get in this safe. And he has a giant safe to hide the booze from all his customers, I guess. So they get in the safe, and as soon as they close it up, Galand and Melascula come, like, barging in. And when I say barge in, I don't mean they kick down the wooden door. I mean, Galand cuts the mountain in half and literally opens up the room. So it's just like this giant room, and you can look out because the mountain's been cut in half. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty steep cost in your budgets there, Escanor. I know it was just dirt and mud, but still, it's going to really affect those taxes when they come around. Maybe? I don't know how taxes work. Anyways, Galand comes in, and at first he's pretty pissed because, you know, he's been beaten up and his heart's been ripped out. But as soon as he walks in, he's like, ooh, what's that smell? And it was beer, because it's a bar. So he's like chugging, he's like, just grabs like a giant barrel of beer, and he's chugging it down. And he's like, damn, beer must have gotten a lot better from 3,000 years ago, because this stuff is actually really good. Melascula starts having some, they both get drunk. Galen's like, okay, you know what? I'm not near as mad, but dude, we know they're in your vault behind you, so just do me a favor, give them to me without a fight. And Escanor's kind of like, no. So it's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm in a good mood. I'm drunk. I'm strong. I can kill you. I'm about to kill people that, like, beat me up. I'm having a good day. So how about this? We'll play a game. And this was really funny, too. So Galand was like, if you win at this game, all 4 of you live. You and the 3 people behind you. If I win at this game, I get to kill you. Fair enough? and Escanor's like, oh, thank goodness. I was worried you're going to tell me the game would be battling one-on-one, but it sounds like we want to play a game, because you picked the game, but I'm pretty good at dice and any card you can throw at me, so I think I can win. And Galen's like, no, the game is one-on-one battle to the death. If you run away or you try and forfeit, you turn to stone. And same goes for me. That's my commandment. I'm telling the truth. If either of us try and break the truth of this game, we are turned to stone. Remember that. So Escanor's like, oh shit, I don't really have a choice. I guess I'll fight ya. And Galand, being drunk and so happy, he like a normal person, like, oh, that's awesome, pat you on the back. Galand like slaps Escanor and he goes flying into like the wall, and like a bunch of rubble covers him. And then you see it's nighttime, and they do like this really childish animation, which I thought was funny. But like the moon's in the sky, and it just like whoop, and then the sun goes whoop up. So it's very clearly now day. Okay, so we cut back into the cave. And at this point, it's been like, what, 8 hours? You know, it was night, and now it's clearly not like the dawn is breaking. No, it's like mid-morning. Sun's out, it's up in the sky. Probably like 11-ish. Anyways, now after like 8 hours, Galand finally notices the giant axe hanging up on the wall. When did you get in my hands? Can you teleport? Can you teleport, buddy? Okay, I gotta do a review, and you're kind of sweaty and stinky, so say goodbye. Bye-bye. Okay, bye, buddy. Anyways, so Galand notices the giant axe in the wall, and after 8 hours, he notices this for the first time. He's like, oh, this is a pretty dope axe. Let me maybe take this for my own squanders. Takes it off the wall, boom, hits the ground. It's like Thor's axe, am I right? And he's complaining like, who in the world built this really sucks, because it's way too top-heavy. It's like a giant axe with too much going on at the top, and there's not enough room on the staff for me to put another hand. So if this is really a one-handed axe, it is super screwed up, says Galand. So while Galand isn't expecting and judging this axe, you have Melascula kind of like, is anyone else getting hot in here? And she's already like down to like a bikini, so it must be pretty hot. And you see Bond behind the safe like, shit, it's getting hot. This is not good. So clearly something's going on. So Galand's there sitting complaining like, whoever made this is sucking at designing it. It's clearly a one-handed axe, but it's not made correctly. And that's when you hear a deep voice like, no, it's made correctly, but you just suck at holding it. Escanor swipes the axe out of... Escanor swipes the axe out of his hand and is like holding it up like this, looking at it like it's a beautiful woman. Like, yes, this is my sacred treasure. And yes, it's a one-handed axe. You're just too weak to hold it. And Galand's like, who are you? You weren't the puny human that you were earlier. And at this point, Escanor is now grown to his full size. He's like, his shirt is like slowly being ripped off. Just giant muscles. Just like giant pecs that you could just eat sausage off of. Abs that you could grind meat on. He is a buff human being. And that's when Galand actually says, like, there's no way a human can hold that axe. What are you? And he's like, no, I'm a human. I am just the top of the clans. And as soon as he said that, that was something very off-putting to me. Clearly, what we're about to experience, Escanor is not a normal human. There's no way he just woke up one day and is like, I want to be the most ripped human in the world, and I get more ripped as it gets hot. He's not freaking Saitama who just broke his limiter. No, there's something going on with Escanor, and my theory is he's actually from the God clan. And I know they're supposed to be extinct, but we kind of find out how he works is, as the sun comes out, he gets stronger. He gets stronger with the sun. And when it becomes noon and the sun is in the middle of the sky, Escanor is at his peak. We find that out later. He's more than likely at his peak. So as the sun gets stronger, as the sun gets brighter and more prominent, he gets stronger. Well, it's called the Master of the Sun, the episode is. And if you go back in, If you go back in Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology, the sun was worshipped as a god, as a literal god. And he even makes a comment, something like, I am with the sun, or my power comes from the sun. So, maybe tracing it back, because this has to do with a lot of mythology, demons, gods, a lot of stuff like that. So, hey, maybe the sun represents the god clans. So maybe he is the last remnant of the god clan. Maybe he is, a half-blooded god clan member. So, half human, half, god clan. That's why he's only strong when the sun is out, and he's weak when the sun is not out. So anyways, that's my theory. Might dive a little bit deeper into that. Besides the point. So now you have Escanor fully ripped, holding his axe, and now he's very prideful. Now that he's ripped, he's like, I'm at the top tier of all the clans. I'm the strongest it gets. I'm the most OP. Everyone should bow down before me. Very opposite of his meek earlier self. And Galand starts kind of laughing, like, oh, that's a good one. And then Escanor starts laughing, and there's like this awkward 4 seconds of them just laughing, like not like at each other, just like ha ha ha. Ha ha ha! And then Escanor just slashes Galand in half. Wasn't like, just no mercy. His arm drops to the ground, his waist falls over, his other waist falls forward, just wasted. And Escanor's like, wow, okay. And then Melascula makes the comment like, you really think that you've beaten us that easy? And he's like, no, I know you're not dead, but it wouldn't be any fun if you were that easy to beat. Galand gets back up and he's like, shit. I have every fiber in my being. This is how dangerous Escanor is. Galand, who wasted Merlin, Meliodas, and like the other sins, like that, and some holy knights, says, every fiber in my being is telling me I need to go full rage mode and kill you now. And that's exactly what he does. He uses a move called Critical Overload, and it's real simple. He basically charges up all his magical, all his physical strength to the max point. And Melascula's like, in this stage, he's at 40,000 power level. And Galand just gets really buff, his armor gets thicker, he just gets bigger overall, less scrawny. So now he's at 40,000 power level. However, we cut over to the tavern, and Merlin's like, can you feel that, Meliodas? And Meliodas is like, yep, 50,000 and climbing, that has to be Escanor. So Escanor is already 10 grand over Galand, and they said his strength is just climbing. It's not even capping off or stopping. It just continues to go up. So Galand is now in critical overload. He's at his peak strength, and he takes his scythe and he just swings it. And dust goes up everywhere. And like I said, they're in a mountain. The top of that mountain, cut off. There's 3 mountains, at least 20 miles away from that mountain. Tops of the mountains, cut off. This was a strong attack. That blast radius that Galand made with just a swipe went for miles and still destroying mountains. The dust settles, and this is how OP Escanor is. His scythe swung at him like this. If it was a normal person, it would have hit the shoulder, cut the person in half, and just obliterated their body. But what happened was his scythe hit his arm and cut that much into it. And he just looks down, and there's a little blood trickling, and he's like, I really would have imagined more from a top demon member. And Galand's like, oh no, this is impossible, there's no way. And freaking Escanor's like, sorry bud, takes his axe, powers it up, and he's just about to swipe when Galand runs away. And remember when they first made the bet, he said if you surrender or run away, you will turn to stone. That is the truth, whether it was Escanor or Galand. And even the commandments cannot escape their own sin. And that's what happened. Galand broke the truth, and he turned to stone. A little disappointing. I really wanted Escanor to lay it into him. And Escanor even said, it looks like even commandments can be scared to death by just a little % of my power. So clearly, even if we saw him attack, it wouldn't even been the top tier of his power. So he takes out Galand like that, turns to stone. Melascula is like, shit, I need to take him out right now. Clearly, she is nowhere near his physical prowess, but that's okay, because she has her last-ditch effort, taking his soul. She uses her cocoon of darkness, surrounds him in darkness, pops out his soul. Something interesting, his soul was at least 3 times bigger than Bond's, and Bond is already a really powerful member. So it's clear the stronger you are, or the more magic you have, the bigger your soul is, which, that makes sense. She eats his soul, and we know that's not it. We know Escanor's not dead, but I was really curious, what happened? Did he do the switcheroo? What's going to happen? How he's going to get out of this? And literally what happens is, she eats it, she's like, yummy, but then her face and stomach just starts melting apart, and she's dying, and she just vomits out, in a bright explosion, his soul goes back into Escanor, and she's like, this is another thing that goes with the gods theory. She's like, no, his soul wasn't just so strong and hot that it killed me, that was his magic, and right before, it sounded like she was about to, that was his magic of the gods clan, but right before she said it, she just blew up and fell into an abyss. She was dead. And he was like, yes, that is my magic sunshine. So maybe that's what she was going to say, oh, that was his magic power. But it just really felt ominous that she was trying to say, no, that was the magic of the goddess clan. Because she's a demon from 3,000 years ago that fought hand in hand against the goddess clan. So she would know better than anyone what their magic presence would feel like. So that's another thing that kind of ties in with the whole Escanor as a god, as part from the goddess clan. And then we get one last thing that kind of goes with that theory, vaguely. Escanor just bitch slapped 2 of the commandments, clearly not even using all of his power. One was scared to death, literally ran away and turned to stone because he was so scared. The other one, she ate his soul and it ripped her apart from the inside out. His literal soul. That's how strong this guy is. Literally, you want to know why he wasn't introduced in the first season? There wouldn't have been a plot Hendrix and Dreyfus. He would have taken them out with a finger, a look. There would have been it would have been very anticlimactic, because that's how OP he is. Anyways, he looks over at Bond. He's like, hey dude, it's almost noon. I'm going to come back when it's nightfall. He just jumps away, and then, boop, it's night again. He comes back, it's all scrawny, and this is where he officially gets introduced. And just the interesting thing is, Bond even says, he's a weird human. He gets stronger as the sun gets higher, and that's why I think he ran away at noon, because he mentioned it's almost noon. I have to go away. But if he just keeps getting stronger, why would he run away? You know, he's just, nothing bad's gonna happen. He's just standing there like, okay, it's noon, I'm at my peak physical prowess, but that's it, let's talk. But I think it has to do with two things. One, at noon, he becomes so OP that he can no longer control his power. He becomes the Hulk, and he's just in rage mode, killing anything and anyone in his path. Or two, there's a transformation that happens that he also can't control. During noon, again, his power is so physically OP that he transforms back into his original god mode, his god-like originality and his look. Otherwise, why would he run away from his friends that he just found at noon? Like, so that's my whole god theory that Escanor is. Maybe I'll make a separate video going deeper into that. But the very last thing and how it ends is Escanor is like, hey, I would love to rejoin the Seven Deadly Sins, Bond, but as a beer master, I have to do my last duty before I just quit being a bar master. I have to go deliver this beer to a bar. Will you help me? And Bond's like, sure, let's do it. And then I think we all know what's going to happen. The bar they're going to is going to be the tavern, and they're going to meet Meliodas and Merlin and blah, 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 blah. But at the very end, who shows up? King! And it's very emotional because, you know, it's Elaine and King, their brother and sister, and they've seen each other for literally a century. No, what's 1,000 years? Is it a millennium? Literally a millennium. So that's how the episode ends. It's King showing up, and Elaine's like, King! And King's like, Elaine! Also, Elaine's gonna die. She stated herself, she's like, I've let go of my jealousy, my regrets, my anger. Peace out, broskies. I'm dying. She didn't die in the episode, but she's going to die. Last thoughts on the episode. I don't think it's like a huge thing. It's just a smaller thing. But I'm pretty clear that Escanor has a big crush on Merlin. He even named his bar after her, My Sweet Gluttony. So, and then there's a bunch of other references, like when he first realized it was Bong, he's like, hey, how's Merlin? I don't care, how's Merlin? Oh, my leader, Meliodas? Yeah, sure, but how's Merlin? How's Merlin? So, yeah, I guess he has a big crush on Merlin. But I mean, who wouldn't? She's wearing like that much clothing, and her tits are like, boop, they're bigger than mine. Anyways, guys, I really look forward to next video, my new camera, and hopefully I won't be in here. I know the lighting's a little off, so I really apologize about that, guys. Love you all, and this will be 2D Life. Peace and out.